Well, welcome to the 10th Forum for the Future of Agriculture to Dame Ellen MacArthur, who made history in 2005 as the fastest solo sailor to circumnavigate the globe. And in 2010, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation was established, working with education, business and government to accelerate the transition from the linear to the circular economy. Now, you've just talked to the forum about addressing towards the circular economy. So I suppose my first question would be that acceleration towards linear to circular. How fast are we going? Fast enough?
I think the honest answer is you can never be fast enough, but the change we've seen in the last 7 years has been quite extraordinary. Not just within Europe, but actually much more broadly around the world. The idea seems to resonate. The fact you can be restorative and regenerative, the fact that you can cycle materials, both technical and biological, the fact that you need to change the entire system seems to really inspire people. And particularly with the education work that we do, young people just get it. They want to do, the more of it, faster, better. It's a very different approach from that of let's be a bit more efficient in the linear system.
Resonance is really important, isn't it? Because this is one of the things that in a decade of this forum, bringing in Brussels here today, European politicians, international institutions, academia, business, farmers together, there were polarised views. We might have slightly different ways of describing it, we have different experience to bring, but we are all starting to pull towards a time for action, a time for change and implementation.
I think what I feel, and this is my first Forum for Agriculture, so I'm not an expert in the last 10 years of history, but I feel that there is a common understanding that business as usual does not work in the long term. It's tiding us over, but it doesn't work in the long term. There are challenges to what the solutions look like, but I feel there's a common dialogue around we need to be somewhere else, and therefore let's talk about that. And some of the examples that we've seen, some of the presentations, some of the dialogue has been incredibly positive.
Of course, one of your messages is very simple in a sense, isn't it? In fact, there's a Ladybird book, I think, just out on the circular economy, endorsed by Prince Charles. Do the right thing. That's a simple message. The complexity, of course, is in the how. What have you heard today in the forum? What is new and what's different in trying to move towards that how?
I think the presentations that I've just seen from Leontino Balbo Jr., from Alan Savary, from the Dutch potato grower, there was a real, how can we do this better? How can we be more productive? How can we change our systems? And I think that those three conversations, those three presentations were very different backgrounds, very different geologies from the farm, very different geographies, but actually there was a real common thread between the three as to how can we do this better and how can we do this differently and how can we do this in a way which can still be providing food in 100 years' time. And I think that thirst for direction married up with the success of those individuals, and they have been incredibly successful with what they've done, be it from an efficiency perspective, be it from a regeneration perspective. They've been incredibly successful, and I think that really shows a light of there is a different way of doing things.
I have to ask you if the EU is listening, because there has been a troubled history, I would suggest, with regard to the circular economy. We're looking at the circular economy package now. This is about the future of Europe, and you had quite an upbeat message to share.
I feel that we're in a very good place here in the EU around circular economy. It has been a journey that's taken several years, but I think it's ended up in exactly the right place in that it is understood at the highest level within the Commission that circular economy is about jobs, competitiveness and the future of Europe. That's essential. This is not just about materials, this is about a bigger systems change. The circular economy package has had legislation which has come out of it, the first of which, highly relevant today, which was an organic fertiliser market. So I feel it's a journey, it's a process, it is that direction of travel, but it's in the right place in the Commission. We just need to keep working on it.
And out of all the noise, there are an awful lot of facts. I'm sure, we could all throw hundreds, 25% of all calories are wasted. Waste is one of those important ones. You talked about education at the start. Essentially then, what is your truth, Ellen, in terms of, what needs to happen next?
I think that if all young people left education seeing the world in a circular rather than linear way, many things would change. Design would change, marketing would change, the way materials flow through the economy would change, we would reconnect nutrient loops, we would valorise what we have. The fact is, at the moment, our education is as linear as our economy, and actually we're processed. We go in one out, we come out the other, and we've learned all about, chemistry around plastics, around petrochemicals. Actually, there's a huge amount of chemistry out there that's not petrochemicals. Now, petrochemicals are vital, absolutely, and always will be for the future, but actually there are other kinds of chemistry. So that enabling young people to see that system, to see the circular system more broadly and understand that you can be restorative and regenerative, that's essential.
Overall, you sound optimistic, despite perhaps what is happening in the States and Donald Trump and his views on fossil fuels as being the future rather than the past. You do sound optimistic.
I'm hugely optimistic. We've produced many economic reports looking at the economic rationale for a circular economy. Renewable energy is part of that, but there's an awful lot else which is much, much broader than that. Remanufacturing, 80% less energy, 80% less material costs. That's nothing to do with renewable energy. That's an energy saving through shifting the system. So I think the economic rationale for a circular economy, for example, is something that will drive it no matter what territory. We're not there yet, but there's great economic rationale for it to happen.
Dame Ellen MacArthur, thank you very much.
Thank you.